What if the answers you've been searching for have been within you this whole time? Most people spend their lives looking for guidance, seeking advice, second-guessing decisions, and feeling lost. But the truth is, your inner voice is always speaking to you, offering insight, clarity, and direction. The problem? Most people don't know how to listen. Instead, they're caught in mental noise, ego distractions, and external influences that drown out their intuitive wisdom. But once you learn how to recognize and trust your inner guidance, everything changes. Think about it. How many times have you ignored a gut feeling, only to later realize it was right? That's because your intuition isn't random. It's a direct connection to your higher self, an internal compass guiding you toward alignment, clarity, and self-mastery. And the best part? You don't need special abilities or years of practice to tap into this power. You just need to learn how to tune in, embrace stillness, and recognize the subtle energy flow of your own awareness. In this video, you're going to discover exactly how to do that. You'll learn how to cultivate deep listening, strengthen your intuitive insight, and silence the ego so that you can make better decisions, experience synchronicity, and develop a stronger connection to your higher intelligence. If you've ever felt uncertain about your path, this will give you the clarity you've been looking for. Ready to unlock your inner wisdom and start moving in the right direction? Let's begin. The inner voice as a source of wisdom and guidance. Everyone has an inner voice, but not everyone listens to it. That subtle whisper of intuition is more than just a passing thought. It's a direct connection to your higher self, a guiding force that aligns you with your purpose, clarity, and spiritual awakening. The problem? Most people are too distracted by external noise to recognize this universal knowledge within. They seek answers in the outside world when, in reality, the greatest wisdom and guidance are already present, waiting in the silence of their own consciousness. The inner voice is not just a random mental dialogue. It's a refined sense of self-awareness that emerges when you develop deep, introspective journey practices like meditation, stillness, and mindfulness. Think about it. When you're in a moment of uncertainty, how often do you pause and listen? Those who cultivate deep listening often find themselves making better choices, experiencing synchronicities, and navigating life with a sense of ease. Some of history's greatest minds, from Nikola Tesla to mystics like Helena Blavatsky, credited their success to an ability to tune into this higher intelligence. But tapping into this wisdom requires trust. You can't expect to recognize your intuitive insight if you doubt every thought and overanalyze every decision. The key is presence and self-discovery, learning to discern between the voice of ego-driven fear and the voice of inner wisdom. This process requires cultivating mental clarity and creating a sacred space for your intuition to surface. And how do you do that? By embracing silence, stillness, and the art of deep listening, which is exactly where we're headed next. Silence, stillness, and the art of deep listening. Silence isn't empty, it's full of answers. In a world overwhelmed by distractions, true stillness has become rare. Yet it is the foundation of deep listening. When you remove external noise and quiet the mind, you create space for inner wisdom to emerge. This is why ancient spiritual practices, from Buddhist meditation to Taoist energy flow techniques, emphasize silence as a gateway to higher self-awareness. In stillness, you begin to hear the subtle voice of intuition, offering insights that would otherwise be drowned out by the mind's constant chatter. Most people mistake listening for simply hearing, but real deep listening is an act of conscious presence. It requires you to not just absorb words or sounds, but to tune into the vibrational frequency behind them. Ever had a moment where someone said something insignificant, yet it resonated deeply? That's because you were aligned with the energy field of the message. By practicing mindfulness, you sharpen your ability to perceive thought resonance, making it easier to interpret the guidance that's always available to you. One of the most effective ways to develop this skill is through meditation practice and self-analysis. Start with just 5 minutes of sitting in silence, focusing on your breath, and observing your thoughts without judgment. Over time, you'll notice a shift. Your thoughts will become clearer, your perception sharper, and your ability to recognize intuitive insight stronger. As your awareness deepens, you'll realize that silence isn't just an absence of sound. It's the presence of universal knowledge. And once you begin to hear your inner voice clearly, the next step is learning how to separate it from the influence of the ego. The role of the higher self and ego detachment. The greatest challenge in following your inner voice isn't hearing it. It's distinguishing it from the ego. The higher self speaks in clarity, presence, and deep wisdom, while the ego thrives on fear, overanalysis, and self-doubt. The problem is, most people have spent their entire lives listening to the ego, mistaking its anxious thoughts for rational thinking. But once you develop self-awareness, you begin to recognize the difference. The higher self is calm, direct, and rooted in universal consciousness, while the ego is reactive, impatient, and based in illusion. Detaching from the ego doesn't mean eliminating it. It means aligning with higher intelligence so that the ego becomes a tool rather than a master. Think of it like tuning a radio. If your frequency is locked on a static, you won't hear the message clearly. Through mindfulness, introspection, and ego dissolution practices, you learn to shift your vibrational frequency and operate from a place of intuitive insight rather than conditioned fear. This is why so many spiritual awakening experiences begin with a deep realization. I am not my thoughts. I am the awareness behind them. One of the best ways to cultivate this awareness is to practice self-analysis. Whenever you receive an intuitive nudge, ask yourself, is this coming from my higher self or my ego? The higher self speaks in simplicity, whereas the ego often argues, justifies, or creates resistance. Developing this discernment takes time, but the more you practice, the more you begin to trust the guidance that comes from within. And once you master this distinction, you step into a new realm of intuitive awareness and self-realization, where decision-making becomes effortless and aligned. Intuitive awareness and self-realization. Once you break free from the illusion of the ego, your connection to intuitive awareness strengthens naturally. This is where true self-realization begins. When you stop seeking answers outside of yourself and recognize that all the guidance, clarity, and wisdom you need already exist within. Those who develop this skill experience synchronicity more frequently, as if life itself is responding to their inner alignment. Have you ever had a moment where things just clicked effortlessly? That's the power of being in sync with your higher self and the flow of universal consciousness. The more you cultivate presence and deep listening, the easier it becomes to trust your inner wisdom. Decisions that once felt overwhelming now feel natural. You begin sensing the energy flow behind people, situations, and opportunities, allowing you to navigate life with greater clarity and purpose. This is what mystics and enlightened beings have always known. The more you tune into your intuition, the more your reality shifts to reflect your vibrational frequency. It's not magic. It's a natural result of aligning your consciousness with your highest potential. But self-mastery doesn't come from passive awareness alone. It requires practice. Developing a sacred space for meditation, breath work, or introspection can accelerate this process, helping you refine your ability to interpret the subtle messages of your inner voice. By consistently engaging in mindfulness and self-discovery, you create a direct pathway to higher intelligence and divine connection. So, how can you strengthen this ability even further? That's where practical methods come into play. Practical methods for strengthening inner guidance. Tuning into your inner voice is like strengthening a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. One of the most powerful methods is meditation practice, which helps quiet mental noise so you can hear your higher self more clearly. Even just 5 minutes of stillness a day can deepen your self-awareness and enhance your ability to receive intuitive insight. Pairing meditation with breath work can further activate your energy field, allowing for a greater sense of clarity, alignment, and vibrational frequency tuning. Another highly effective practice is journaling. Writing down your thoughts, emotions, and intuitive nudges can help you distinguish between the ego's distractions and the voice of true inner wisdom. Try asking yourself questions like, what is my intuition telling me about this situation? What recurring messages am I receiving? Over time, you'll notice patterns and learn to trust the flow of guidance that arises naturally. Many who engage in this practice report experiencing more synchronicities, creative inspiration, and moments of deep realization. Finally, practicing mindfulness in daily life helps bridge the gap between spiritual awareness and real-world decisions. Notice the subtle shifts in energy flow when making choices. Does an option feel expansive or restrictive? Pay attention to those small gut feelings, those flashes of higher intelligence that seem to come from nowhere. The more you listen, trust, and act, the more refined your inner voice becomes. And as you develop this connection, life starts to feel less like a struggle and more like a sacred space for growth and self-realization. Now that you understand the power of your inner voice, the real question is, are you going to start listening? Most people spend their lives ignoring their intuition, second-guessing themselves, and looking for answers outside when the truth has been within them all along. But now, you have the tools. You know how to cultivate stillness, deepen awareness, and trust the guidance of your higher self. So, what's stopping you from stepping into your full potential? Start applying what you've learned. Take a few minutes each day to sit in silence, observe your thoughts, and feel the energy flow of your own inner wisdom. Keep a journal of your intuitive nudges, track the synchronicities that show up in your life, and practice acting on those small but powerful insights. The more you do this, the stronger your connection becomes. You'll no longer feel lost or uncertain. You'll move through life with clarity, alignment, and deep self-awareness. If this video helped you shift your perception and inspired you to develop your intuitive insight, let me know in the comments. Have you ever experienced a moment where your inner voice guided you in the right direction? Share your story below. And if you're ready to continue your self-mastery and consciousness evolution, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. There's so much more to uncover on this journey of self-discovery and higher intelligence.